how do you plane a piece of wood like that? How do you make that look like that? Oh, I didn't drop it. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to do it. But I'll tell you something, I won't be using a machine. No. And why is that? You see, the grain is all irregular, all right? It's going in all different directions. That it is. Now, if I used a thicknesser, or surface, or a jointer to actually plane this piece of wood to create a smooth, uniform surface, it will end up being a non-smooth and non-uniform surface. Now, if you've got a helical planer, you stand more of a chance. It's the planer with all those little tungsten carbide square cutters that you screw on like a little bit of a spiral onto the cutter block. But no, I'm going to be using a hand plane. I'm just going to use a number 4 smoother. It's ideal for this job. Make sure though that it is sharp, which I've already done so. Although I have just planed that, so it might not be as sharp as it was when I started, but you know, look at that though. Crikey, what should I make out of that? Should I make some beautiful little trinket boxes or something like that, you know? That'd make a wonderful inlay into the lid of a box. It really would. Or should I be a bit more imaginative? I think I should be. I've got to do it justice, you see. So I'll give that some thought. So I've got to make some decision whether I'm going to make that the solid or whether it's going to be a veneer, like an inlay. Probably going to be that because there's not much strength in it. It might be very, very pretty, but there's no strength in it. No. Now you could use resins and stuff like that, but I don't want to do that. It just wrecks it. I'm not a lover of slapping resin over a beautiful piece of wood. No, I'm not a lover of river tables either, sorry. Call me old school, I don't care. But you see, wood moves, resin doesn't. I don't think it's a really good combination. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have a go at planing a piece of wood. I've got this other one here, it's a block here, and this side here is rather nice. I don't know if you can see it underneath, or there's little swirly bits going on there. So I think that potentially is going to be similar to that, although this is the nicest piece. Look at that, that's amazing, absolutely amazing. All little bird eyes, you know, showing their face they are, poking out of the wood. There's something about wood that's beautiful. I just love wood, and this is exceptional stuff. It really is. Now it is really just a piece of oak post. It's just a case of, you know, just was it a fence post? Was it just a piece of beam or something? I don't know. All I know, it was a piece of square post, and this square post isn't actually cut from the centre. This won't be the pith. It'll be near the outside edge, hence the burr. So if you look here, you see the burr. Here, it's at this edge of the timber. And if you look at the radial rings, I don't know if you can see that, but they're actually going that way. The green might hide a little bit, but they're going that way, okay? So that's more the centre of the tree, and that's more the outside edge of the tree. Hence, that's where the burr was on this tree. Crikey, I'm really pleased with that. It's going to be really cool. Really, really cool. So I'll do that justice. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to plane this face up using the number 4 smoother. I'm also going to just touch the plane iron up a little bit with a I'm just going to do it by hand. I'm not going to use a honing guide or anything, because I'm just using a very, very fine waterstone. This is a natural waterstone. If you can get natural ones, they're great. The only thing is, you don't know what grit it is. All you know, oh, that's really fine, that is, you know, because it's natural, you know, it's not graded or anything like that. It's just really fine. So it's probably around 8,000 grit or something, you know, but it's very, very, very fine. So I'm just going to take the plane iron out of the smoother, and I managed to get rid of some of the judder on the smoother. I made a previous video about the smoother with the thin 2mm plane iron in comparison to the 3mm plane irons, and what I've done is I've actually moved the frog back a little bit. Now I wouldn't normally have the frog that far back. If I get a little rule, I can show you what I mean. Now, that's the frog, okay? Because it looks like a frog's face. You know, it's like Kermit. Anyway, so normally what I do is, on my frogs, I grab my rule when I'm setting up the frog, and I place that on there like so, and providing the rule doesn't have any obstruction at the bottom, okay, I think it's good, all right? But with the size of the mouth as it is, and the fact you only take a very thin shaving with this. Now, normally if you're playing, if the frog is flush with that edge, the plain eye can come out no trouble at all, and there's plenty of room in the mouth for the shaving to come out. What I was finding what's happening is that I was rocking up, I was creating almost like a crepe paper shaving. Now the thing is, I've actually moved the frog back just a little bit, just to give me another 0.5 millimetre of space between the plain iron and the leading edge of the mouth, so it wasn't jamming up behind the chip breaker and just causing all sort of mayhem. Now you can't necessarily do that on other planes, because sometimes with other planes you'd end up having create a thicker shaving. With smoother, you generally only take a thin shaving, so you can get away with moving the frog back just a fraction, which I've done on this hand plane here, because currently it is not flush with the mouth. Okay, and it seems to have improved it somewhat. If you go too far back, what happened is the primary bevel, the big bevel, will end up sitting on the edge of the mouth and not resting on the frog. So effectively you're trying to bend it, it's not going to work. So anyway, what we're going to do first, we're just going to hone it up a little bit before we attack this piece of burr oak or burly oak. It's a beautiful piece of stuff, it really is. It's very kind. Oh crikey, it was Admiral Andy, I think it was Andy, who came and dropped it off. I'm terrible at my names, always have been. So I'm just going to touch up on here. Normally I do it over there, but being the camera's there, I'll just do it here. It's already wet, so it's already got water on it. So I'm just going to find my bevel, circular motions, so find my bevel, just up a little bit, that's it. I'm not trying to regrind or anything like that, this is very, very fine. I'm effectively just honing the edge. Let's do a bit over here as well. Don't forget to make use of all of your sharpening stone. Now, if I'm using this in a honing guide, you tend to end up only using a part or half the actual stone, so make sure you flip it around to do the other half. And I tend to try and make sure that I actually use, for other sharpening or small blades, I tend to try and use the ends of the stone as well, just to share the load on the stone, so you don't end up having a concave stone. Now, a lot of people these days use diamond sharpeners. I've got nothing against those. Now, regarding they call composites. They're composite water stones. I haven't got any. I used to have any, but didn't like them. I thought they'd be rubbish. A lot of these things you get on Amazon and places like that, they're not very good. And the problem with me is that they gouge them. It's so easy. If you're not used to sharpening, it's so easy to damage them. And once you damage them, you've got to try and flatten them. Before you know it, you've got no waterstone left. Now, if you're going to start out sharpening, if you're a newbie to woodworking, you've got to learn how to sharpen your tools, obviously. You can have a go at doing it by hand if you want. I don't recommend it. I recommend using a honing guide, because you're getting a cumulative error over a period of time, and before you know it, you've got to regrind the plain iron. Whereas if you use a honing guide, you get your angles right. You might, unless you put a notch in your plain iron by hitting something like a stone or a bit of shrapnel or something in a piece of wood, you won't have to actually regrind the plain irons. So you do a little bit by often, a little bit by often. I'm just going to do a little bit on the back. I'll remove some of the burr. Just doing little circular motions, alright? Now, with a stone like this, if I go back and forth, like that, if I gouge it, maybe there's a notch in the back of the plain iron, the likelihood is I'm going to gouge my stone. So that's a bit of an issue. So I tend to do smaller motions, and that way, if I gouge anything, it's only going to be in a little tiny area. Now, if you're just starting out sharpening your tools, I would recommend a Norton India oil stone. I do not recommend a waterstone. Wait until you've got that mechanical memory. Wait until you've had the practice, done lots and lots of practice on sharpening tools, and understand the fundamentals about sharpening your tools. And then, you should be okay. But you see, waterstones are vulnerable. You've got to make sure you soak them. They're messy to work with, alright? So I'd go for, if I was just starting out, go for something cheap, and that would be something like those just cheap diamond sharpeners. And I use them, There you go. Yeah, they're sharp. Could be a little bit sharper, but that's pretty sharp. As you can see, it shaves. I'll do my bikini line later. a bald hand at this rate. Now, even though I've been using the water, there'll still be a bit of a wire edge there, and I tend to use my hand. No, I don't recommend you do that. Get a bit of leather or something, or even just remove the wire edge. Just do that, and that'll peel it off. So in fact, you just try and cut that way with the plane iron and just peel it off. But normally, this is all I do is just use that. But don't do this. Strop me palm of hand until you've had plenty of practice. Yeah. And just like shaving your face, you never go sideways with it, you always just go flat, 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 and then you're absolutely fine. Yes, I have cut myself occasionally, it does happen, but you know, it's like riding a bike and falling off it, you get up and have another go. So there you go, so okay, so I'm happy with that, I think that's good. So place it back into the assembly with the chip breaker. I'm going to go about millimetre back. There won't be much in the way of what you call shavings, so if you want you can bring the actual chip breaker quite far back. Now I generally go around a millimetre and a half from the edge. That's what I normally do. It suits me. But when you've got short shavings like these, the chip breaker isn't really going to do a lot. No. It's when you've got long shavings, you want a curly shaving, you break the fibres so you don't split the wood or cause tear out. So okay, let's place that back inside the Stanley Bailey number 4. This is quite original. It's not that old. I think it's post 1970. I can't say exactly what age it is. Now when you place the plane iron assembly back in, make sure your lever arm makes that happen with your plane iron. Sometimes you can put it in and it'll be just sitting riding over top of it, and you clamp down the lever and that won't move. You know, it won't go 2 and 4, 5, it'll just be a mess. So you just got to make sure you've got a little bit tighter than that. There you go, that's good. Yeah, just got to make sure everything's engaged properly and that the plane iron is sitting flat onto the frog assembly here as well. There's no gaps underneath. If there's a gap underneath, the likelihood is it'll be sitting on top of the end of this lever, the screw lever here, the lateral adjuster. Not saying I ain't done anything with this plane other than use it. I've had a long time, you know. It's a good tool. It is a good tool. It hasn't had a huge amount of use, to be honest, because I've always made sure I've kind of used the number 5 more than number 4. Out of preference than anything else. So I was taking a hand plane onto site, I'd always take a number 5, I wouldn't take a number 4 at all. Number 5 is more universal, especially if you've got a second plane iron. One for smoothing and one for joining. Right, because smoothing plane iron has a slight camber, okay? You put the camber on when you sharpen it. Alright, shall we see what we're going to get? I'll tell you what, I'll bring you a little bit closer. Let's bring you a bit closer, just see what happens to this beautiful piece of wood. Okay, isn't that lovely? No, it's not yet, is it? That's a bit grubby looking. Let's bring it over here a little bit. That's it. Okay, let's line you up. Are you lined up now? I think so. Oh, I could even zoom you in if I wanted to. Oh, there you go. Oh, let's do that. All right. So, one number 4 Stanley Bailey. Could be any number 4, or, you know, or a number 5. I like the number 4 for this job, as it's set up as a smoother. It's got a slight camber in the plane iron, and let's see. Okay, it's not really doing anything, is it? Not yet. No, it's barely touching it. So I'm going to engage the plane iron a little bit more. I don't want to take too much at a time. Let's have a look at the skew. No, it needs to come over a bit. So basically, the plane iron is producing more there than it is there. I'm losing my voice already. If anyone's wondering about my voice, because I do get weird criticisms, you know, and it doesn't help that I'm from Norfolk as well. That obviously adds to the problem. You know, I've got a condition called fibromyalgia. It's quite common, and it's actually more common in women than men. It's like a hormonal, do pain receptors and stuff like that, but it can be triggered through hormones. Right, let's get that right. There you go. The other way. I'll try that. All right. And it affects my vocal cords. So my voice is. I have to kind of manage my voice. I really struggle making videos talky videos, because I have to have to work with my voice. Sometimes I lose my voice completely. Right, now you see what I'm doing here? I'm not trying to go that way. Right, just a long piece of wood like that. You can if you want, but the plane iron on this irregular growth, because it's all knobbliness going on there, isn't there? Look like Anne Woodcomb's derriere. Anyway, there's knobbliness there. That's all this irregular grain growth. Now, if you go straight against it like so, you're more likely to be attacking the grain that's coming up that way more aggressively, and you could create more tear out. Now, that's the reason why I don't like to use a plane, a surface or a jointer or any machine to actually clean this off. You could use a linser with a coarse sanding disc, a sanding belt, and then go down the belt. That would also work. I might try that in another video actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to carry on with this, but I'm going tangential, I'm going diagonally, like so. So it creates like a slicing action. So the plane iron is doing that and not trying to butt up against the fibres, it's slicing the fibres. So diagonal, like so. That's the beauty about plane iron, plane iron, smooth and plain. You can, you see they well attack that edge there, it's actually got a bit of tear out. That don't matter there, because that's all, I probably won't be using that bit anyway, because it's on the end. Right, there's fibres there, much coarser there than they are here. So you see they're going in all different directions. Now when you want to finish burr oak, you're not going to do it with plane iron. You'd use a card scrape or something like that. So yeah, very quickly we're starting to see the beauty of this piece of wood. Just keep going, keep going. So you're happy you've got rid of all the old oxidised wood, the dirty bit on the top, just to expose all the beautiful bit underneath. Now the deeper you go into this piece of wood, the less open grained it's going to be. Some of this, as you see here, is, well, it's because it's like the outside edge of the wood, and it's shrunk. You know, it's been expelling moisture and shrinking in the heat, and causes all these little shakes in the wood. So the deeper you go, the less of it there'll be. But I don't want to waste any, so I've got to be using that as well. So I'll be using the outside edges as well as the inner edges of the wood. I've just got to decide on how I'm going to use it and what we're going to use it for. Well, I'm glad I sharpened the plane iron. The other thing you want to do though is, as you're making use of it, making use of your hand plane, this will polish up on the bottom anyway, because any rust residue or whatever might be old dirt will wear off. But just help it along, just a bit of candle wax. This is a bit of a paraffin wax for doing conserves and stuff. But any candle wax, you know, citronella is quite nice, you get less flies. Or not. Anyway, so now it should glide over the wood much easier. But be a little bit careful though, because like for instance this piece of wood, on the outside edge where you've got all this irregular grain, if you put too much wax on here and it builds up into lumps on the bottom of your hand plane, it will scrape off and end up in all those little nooks and crannies, and that will obviously resist any finish that you want to put on your burr. On your burly oak, see now it's really smooth and slippery now. There you go, look. Different, but also beautiful. So there you go, look at that. Andy used this to make a saddle, a seat for a motorbike. I can't imagine it being very comfortable. But look at that, you know. So that's equally beautiful, so that's just different. That's obviously more aggressively figured. It's absolutely lovely. And that one's a little bit more gentle. But if you look at this piece of wood, even this piece of wood here, you've got this area here, the burr. I can't see much, there's much obviously undulated grain on this side. I can't see much in the way of a burr on there. So I would say, you know, that, yeah, I'm right, yeah, yep, there is that right tree? Yes, it is. So the grain is going that way, hence those shakes. But so that's the outside of the tree, and also that's the outside of the tree. But this side is more internal part of the tree. So there's more, or sorry, there's less burrs there than there is on this piece. See? That's how I would recommend that you actually, I hope you come. Right, utilise the number 4 smoother. Should I come down here? Oh, I think, oh well. The number 4 smoother to plane your Burl Oak. Anyway, what do you use to plane your Burl Oak? Maybe you've never come across it before. Maybe maybe this isn't your kind of woodworking. Leave in the comments down below. And if you've got any ideas for videos, leave that in the comments down below. Because I do read the comments, but you probably already know. Please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And maybe a little bell icon, because then you get one fast thing in your pocket every time I upload another video. Toodaloo.